Alright, ready? Go get it! Alright, we're doing benchmark corrections. I'm playing fetch with the dog. So, get your test booklet, preferably, or a piece of paper, and we're just going to go through the questions. So I'm going to try to get through the first third of the test. So number one, $22.10 for 2.6 pounds of salmon. Okay, what is the price per pound of the salmon? So as soon as you see per pound, that is a unit rate. And we know anytime we see unit rate, that means to divide. So ultimately what this question is asking you is what is $22.10 divided by 2.6? Don't bark, that doesn't help. Okay, so now instead of just working this out, because this is difficult, it's got decimals, no one likes decimals. Let's think about this and try to eliminate some answers. So if I'm dividing by 2.6, this has to get smaller, right? If I pay $22 for 2.5 pounds, the price for 1 pound, which is what per pound means, we want the price for 1 pound, has to be less than this. So we can already eliminate our answers that are greater than the amount we started with. Okay, so that just leaves $8.50 and $19.50. And if I just think realistically, if I divide this by 2.6, which of these answers is more likely? Okay, so if I divide this by 2, half of 22 is 11. So it should be closer to 850 than it is to 1950. Pretty sure this is the answer you get if you did 2210 minus 2.6. So I'm almost certain it's 8.5. And I'm going to use that to help me divide. Okay, so first things first, if you have a decimal on the outside, we can move it over one place. So instead of 2.6 by 2210, I can rewrite this as 221.0 divided by 26. Okay, and so 26 can't go into 2, can't go into 22. How many times can it go into 221? Well, I'm going to bet it's going to be 8 times. So let's try 26 times 8. So 6 times 8 is 48. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 4 is 208. Look at that. I probably can't get another 26 in without going over. So it's going to be 8. 208 goes here. We subtract 21 minus 8 is 13. Bring the decimal up. Bring the 0 down. So how many times can 26 go into 130? Well, again, I'm going to bet that it's going to be 5 times. So let's try it out. So 6 times 5 is 30. This is 13. Look at that. Look at that. That's a beautiful thing. 130 on the dot. So how much is it per pound? 850. Could we have answered that without dividing? Probably. But why not? We're here. And you should have all this work down now. Okay? Even if you got it right. Show some work. Won't kill you. Right, puppy? You gonna give it to me? I can't throw it if you don't give me the thing. You're stupid. Okay. Number 2. She doesn't want to play fetch anymore. So JKLM similar to PQRS. So what makes this one a little bit difficult? First of all, there's no numbers, which throws kids off. Second of all, the shapes aren't facing the same way. So to make this solvable, what we're going to do is I'm going to copy these letters over here. I'm not even going to redraw the shape. So I know J, the first letter over here, has to go with the first letter over there. So J has to correspond to P, and K, the second letter, corresponds to the second letter here. So K goes with Q, and then L goes with R, and M goes with S. Okay. So now I can match my sides up better because I can see them right on top of each other. So my answers help us out that they all start with QR. So I'm going to find side QR, which is this side right here. So I know either going to the right or underneath it has to be KL or LK because those are the corresponding sides. Okay, so I'm looking for KL. That's not KL, that's not KL. I'm eliminating this answer. Here's KL. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this one. No KL here. Throw it away. KL, there it is. Okay, so both of these, it puts the new shape on top, and I can put that over here. and the old shape, or the original shape, on the bottom. Okay, so we'll call this OG. So now let me check my other one. So RS is the side on the bottom, so that has to correspond to LM. So for this proportion to be true, it's got to say RS over LM. Is that what this says? No, this says JK, which is the side on top. So this is not looking so good. So I've crossed off everything else, so I'm really hoping this is the answer. So we got PS, which is the side on the left here, so that should go with JM. Sure enough, there it is. Okay, so if it gives you two shapes, match up the letters. If you wanted to, you could redraw the shape. Look at this beautiful picture here. We call this P, Q, S, R, and it's the same idea. Okay, I like it better this way, so I don't have to redraw the shape, because you can see my art skills are not so good. Alright, let's fix my eyeballs here and give them some angry eyebrows. Okay, either way, you're looking to write the correct proportion. Nothing to it. Alright, number 3. Mary surveyed 55 people to find out their favorite types of music. The results shown in the bar graph. Based on the information, what types of music were chosen by 40% of the people surveyed? Okay, so this one's a little bit tricky. I had to look at this a couple times. So we can start off, what is 40% of 55? So two ways we could do this. Anytime we have a percent, we can write it as part of a proportion. So 55 is the whole number of people. We want to know what part that is. And as a percent, it's 40% out of 100. So we'd say 40 times 55, or 55 times 40, which is 0, and then 4 times 5 is 20, and this is 22. So 2,200 divided by 100 is solve proportion. We cross multiply and divide. Anytime we divide by 100, we just take our decimal, move it 2 places over, or in this case, cross out 2 zeros, and we get 22. So 40% is equivalent to 22 people. Okay? And once we have that, this becomes a lot easier. So I start off, none of my bars go up to 22, which means it has to be some combination of these types of music, and the answer choices confirm that. So how many people like each one? So country's between 14 and 16, so we can call that 15. Jazz is right at 12, opera's at 10, and rock is at 18. Okay, so we just need 2 or 3 of these numbers that if we add them together gives us 22. And if you can't see that, we can just check our answers. So country and opera, country was 15 plus 10 for opera is 25. That's not what we want. Jazz and opera would be 12 plus 10. Hey, look at that. That adds up to 22. We can check the other ones. Jazz and opera we just said was 22 plus rock was 18, which is 40 people. That's way too many. And then country, jazz, and rock. So that's 15 plus 12 plus 18 is 45, which is definitely too many. The only reasonable answer is B. That's it. So if you get percents, you make a proportion, figure out what that is in real things, and then it's just adding. Okay? Alright, number 4. Rita has a loan, $45,580, simple interest rate of 4% per year. What's the amount of interest she'll be charged at the end of 1 year? So what we need here is we have to find our formula for simple interest. So we flip backwards to our formula chart. There it is. And we come down, we look for simple interest right here. I equals PRT. So first things first, we write our formula. PRT, where P is the principal amount, is the principal, or the amount of money you started with. So $45,580. Okay. Our rate, which is R, is the interest rate. But we need this as a decimal. Can't multiply by percents. That gives us wrong numbers. So we want to change this to a decimal. So we take 4, whole number, move the decimal 2 places over to the left, gets smaller, so 4% becomes 0.04. Okay, that's our rate, 0.04, and t is our time in years, and it just says 1 year, so our time is just 1. Okay, so anything times 1 is itself, so this doesn't even matter. What this really comes down to is 45,580 times 0.04. Okay, and again, this is decimals. I don't really want to do that. So if I think about it, I'm multiplying by a very small number, which means I should get a smaller answer than what I started with. So it's probably not going to be 47,000. And I don't think it's going to be 18,000 or 11,000, so I'm betting it's going to be the smallest of the 4. But let's find out. This isn't as obvious. So let's do this math. So 4,5,5,8,0.04. And this actually isn't too bad. We only have to multiply by one number. It's 4 times 0, that's 0. 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 is 23. 4 times 5 is still 20, plus 2 is 22. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 2 more is 18. And then since we're multiplying with decimals, we have to count up all of our decimal places, and we had 1, 2 in the problem, so we need 2 and our answer. And there it is, $1,823.20. So that's how much extra money she would have to pay to take a loan of $45,580 for 1 year. Okay, so use your formula chart anytime you see the word interest, because here's your formula. Maybe compound interest too. I don't think we actually do this in 7th grade. Hopefully. That's a pain. Okay, number 5. Net square pyramids. Dimensions are shown in the diagram. What's the total surface area of the pyramid in square feet? Okay, so this one is kind of a pain because we haven't talked about it yet. Talked about it now, but we didn't at the time. Hopefully you're able to get an idea of what it's asking for. So it's surface area, so it's just area of our shapes. So what kind of shapes do we have? We have 4 triangles and 1 square. So we need our formula chart again, our good friend. Bring it over here. So we need area of a triangle, and a square is just a rectangle. So there's our formula. So A is 1/2 base height, and base times height. So if we start with our triangle, the troublemaker of the group, okay, so area is 1/2 base times height. So the base and height of a triangle are 2 sides that meet at this right angle. Okay, I'll just fill it in here. So we know the height is 8, so it's pointing right at it. But what is this length here? Hopefully you said 12, because it's a square, which means all these sides have to be 12. So our base has to be 12, and then we need 1/2 of that. So let me just multiply these 2 numbers at a time. This is even, so I'm going to start here. 1/2 of 12 is 6, times 8 is 48. So the area of this triangle is 48. So the area of this triangle is 48, and this one is 48, and so is that one. Or we could say, what is 48 times 4? So let's see, that's 32. And then 16 plus 3 is 192. So our 4 triangles have an area of 192, which just leaves our square here. So area of a square is just base times height, or 12 times 12. And if you finish your multiplication chart, we would know that that is 144. Now you can work it out. And then if we did this correctly, we should be able to add these 2 numbers together to get our total area. Total key there. We have 6 3, carry the 1. Hey, look at that. 336 square feet. So this is probably one of the more complicated as far as like math you had to do questions on the whole test. So if you miss that one, that's okay. We'll get it next time. Alright, number 6. Miss, what's her face? $80 to purchase school supplies for class. She bought 32 glue sticks, 32 boxes of crayons. Each glue stick was $1.40. Each box of crayons 59 cents. How much did she have left over after these purchases? So this is a key here. I'm sure a lot of people that missed it did it because they forgot this last step. So don't let me forget that we need left after the purchases. So we need to know how much did you spend on crayons, how much did you spend on glue sticks. So she bought 32 boxes, and they were 59 cents each. It's 32 times 0.59. Okay, and then we also need glue sticks, which is 32 times, oops, $1.40. I don't like this problem anymore. It's a lot of work. I don't want to do this. Hold on. And then we would have to add these numbers together. Okay. But I don't want to do that. This is a pain. This is like a lot of multiplication. Since she bought the same amount of both, right? Why can't we add these together? So what's $1.40 plus 59 cents? Well, that's $1.99. So instead of doing these separately, we could have said, what is 32 times 199? And you would have gotten the same answers if you did these separately and added them together. But I still don't want to do this. Why would I do 199? That's practically $2. I'm just going to do what's 32 times $2. She's going to donate the change to charity. 32 times 2, that's 64. So she spent a little bit less than $64, which is this answer here. We're not going to pick it though. So this is how much she spent, which is not the question. The question is how much did she have left over? So you need to say, what did she start with? She started with $80 minus the money she spent gives us what she had left over. And this comes out to $16. And again, she had a little bit left over. She had actually 32 cents left over because each time she paid 1 extra cent. So this should actually be $16.32, which is answer F. There you go. Work smarter, not harder. Okay? If you really want to work this out, you can. I guess it'd be fun. Okay, number 7. Group of students in a circle play a game. Circle a diameter 22 meters. What's the closest circumference of the circle in meters? Okay, question about shapes. So I need my formula chart. There it is. So helpful, so helpful. This time we're looking at, what are we looking at? Circumference. So we find circumference on our chart. Here it is. Gives us two formulas, 2 pi r or pi d. But since it says what the diameter is, oh, my lines are coming out crooked, I'm going to use pi d. So C equals pi times diameter. Okay, and then I'm just going to fill in my numbers. So pi, if you forgot, here it is, 3.14 times 22. Okay, and we could work this out. It's got decimals, but that's okay. But if I look, none of my answers are really close to each other, like at all. So what if I just called this 3? Why not? This is America. We're free to do things like that. What is 22 times 3? Well, that is 66. So do I have an answer that is close to 66? I do. Is this one right here? So it's probably almost 100% certain this answer here. But just to check it out so it doesn't seem like I'm too lazy. And this isn't too bad because it's 22, so it's just the same thing twice. So 3.14 times 2 is 6. Oops, no decimal yet. 628. Bring down a 0 when we go to the tens place. Then it's 628 again. And then we add these together. This is 8, 10, 9, 6 with 2 decimal places. Hey, sure enough, Comes out nice and even every time. You keep bringing me the ice cream cone, but I can't throw it if you don't let go of it. Okay? You gonna let go so I can throw it? Well, then I'm not playing with you. She hasn't quite figured out how fetch works yet. She's still a puppy. Okay, number 8. Gabe has cans of soup in his kitchen cabinet. 2 of tomato, 3 of chicken, 2 of cheese, 2 of potato, 1 of beef. Randomly chooses 1, puts it back. You know why he put it back? Because these are all sad choices. And then he randomly picks another one. What is the probability he will choose tomato and a can of cheese? On a side note, what is the probability of disappointment in his choices? Disappointment is 100%. These are all terrible. You should not eat any of these. Like, come on, Mom or Dad. Get some better soups going on. Okay, to actually answer the question. So the first one he picked was tomato. So what is the chance of him getting tomato? Well, he's got 2 of them. Or actually, let's talk about probabilities. Probability is a ratio of favorable outcomes to all possible outcomes. It's been a while since we did probability. This is fun. So how many favorable outcomes are there for tomato? There's 2. This is 2 we can choose from. Out of how many possible? So 2, we gotta add all these up. 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 is 10. So he's got 2 out of 10 chance of getting tomato. Then he says he puts it back. So the second time he picks, there's still 10 to choose from. We haven't taken anything away. And now he wants cheese, and there's 2 of those. So again, it's going to be 2 out of 10. If we want both of these things to happen together, we'll multiply them. Okay? So we could either multiply now and then simplify, or we can simplify first. I'm always going to go with that method. So 2/10, I can divide both those by 2. So this becomes 1 out of 5 times, well, this is the same exact number, so it simplifies to the same thing, to 1 out of 5. And then 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 5 is 25. So what's the chance of him picking tomato, putting it back, then getting cheese? 1 out of 25. If you missed what we did here, this was divided by 2 divided by 2 gives us 1 over 5. This is how we got here. In case you forgot how to simplify fractions. Hopefully you didn't. Okay. So that was it for that question. Okay, a lot of words here. We can do it. Which situation represented by 45W plus 123.95 equals 753.95? Okay. So let's get an idea of what these should be. So 45W means 45 times something. So 45 needs to be a rate. So it should look like 45, and all these are dollars, so it's going to be $45 per, and I'm pretty sure weeks, and weeks. So 45 per week is what 45W should stand for. Okay? And I think that actually narrows it down. We can actually answer the question. So this one says, or no, before we do that, let's finish. Let's look at this. So 123.95. This is getting added on, right? So she only pays this one time. So it should be like 123.95, like a fee or charge, one time kind of thing. Like signing up, she pays this. Not every week, just the first time. Excuse me. And then equals, since we're talking about money being charged, this should be our total. So we're looking for 753.95 to be our total. Because all these, this is kind of a straightforward question. They're all essentially the same, just worded differently. So Erica paid 753.95 for classes. Okay, that sounds good. Paid 123.95 fee. Oh, that sounds good too. And 45 each week. Oh, well, we're done. This is it. We've finished the problem. Let's check our other answers to see what those equations would look like, just to make sure we pick the right one. So next one said Erica paid $753.95 for dance classes. Okay, so still equals the same thing. So far, so good. She paid a $45 registration fee. Okay, so this time it's saying she paid the plus 45 one time and $123.95 per week. So this one it switches the order around. And that's no good, right? She only paid 45 a week. So this is net. So number C, Erica and her sister, okay, we added a second person, paid $753.95. So this part's still good. Erica paid $123.95 each week. Okay. $95 per week. And then her sister paid $45 each week. So this time there is no fee, but both of them are paying a rate, which is not right. Because this can't be per week. This has to be just one time. And our last one, Erica, okay, still paid $753. So this is good each time. She paid $123 per week. So already that's the part that's wrong. But this time she had a coupon that gave her $45 off. So instead of plus 45, this would be minus 45. So none of those look good, just A. But we check them anyway, because you don't want to look at just answer A and then pick it and then ignore the other ones, because what if we misread, right? No silly mistakes. Alright, number 2, isosceles triangle, base angles each measure 42 degrees. Which equation can be used to find Z, the measure of the third angle in this isosceles triangle in degrees? Okay. So this one might have given you trouble because we don't really talk about these words base angles very much. But hopefully we're able to use our common sense to figure that out. So isosceles means two angles congruent or the same. So two of them are the same, one of them is different, right? And then it says the base angles each measure 42. So if it says they each measure 42, that means there has to be more than one of them. So this has to be the angle that's repeated, right? And we call these the base angles because they're opposite to the what angles congruent? There should really be sides, but sides and angles. It has both of them. Right, pup? This pup doesn't care about triangles. Which equation means find Z, the measure of the third angle, which is this one up here, in degrees. So we know all three triangles have to add up to. What do you mean you care about triangles now? You don't. You're a dog. I'm going to throw this ice cream. Go get it! Okay, what are we doing? Adds up to 180, because it's a triangle. So we have 42. We have another 42. And we have our missing angle, which it looks like they're calling. Oh, they did. Call it Z. Plus Z. So hopefully this is one of our answers, but it's not. So what can we do? Well, this is math we know. 42 plus 42 is 84 plus Z equals 180. Hopefully that's an answer. There it is. Piece of cake. If we really wanted to, could we get Z by itself? Of course we could. We'd have to get rid of this plus 84 by doing minus 84. And then this we would borrow. And this would be 6. 17 minus 8 is 9. So Z would equal 96 degrees. And that right there is our vertex angle. It's one that's different. Right, pup? Vertex. It's a corner. You know corners? Go sit in the corner. She doesn't know corners either. Doesn't know much. Speaking of things you don't know, this is a box plot. We haven't talked about these yet. It's in the last chapter. I don't know if you did them in 6th grade. I think you might have. I'd have to ask him. But could we have answered this without knowing box plots? The answer is yes, could have. Because we have this word range. And range means, let's see if I can make this a little bigger. I'm messing up everything else. Range, box plot. So range means highest minus the lowest. And if we ignore everything else except that there are points on this line, we can see that the lowest point for Miss Kelso's class is at 5, and the highest point is at, let's see, this is 16, 17. So the difference between the highest and the lowest is 12. So for Miss Kelso is 12, and for this other guy, Mr. Bonham, is between 6 and 16, which is 10. So it wants to know, is the range for this, is 10 less than the range for Miss Kelso's 12? And the answer is, it is. 10 is definitely less than 12. Okay, so even if you just knew what range meant, and you could use a little bit of common sense to figure out that points on a number line represent numbers, right? You could have gotten this one right. If not, again, it's okay. We're going to come back to it, or we'll get it next time. Let's check these other answers just to be sure, or just to see some words here. So B says the data is more symmetrical. Symmetrical means it looks the same on the left side as it does on the right side. So Miss Kelso's is it's a little bit more squished up to the left, a little bit wider on the right side, whereas Mr. Bonham's is exactly symmetrical, right? From 6 to 11 is 5, and from 11 to 16 is another 5. This box right here, there's 3 on the left, 3 on the right. This is perfect. So that's not a good answer. The median, even if you didn't know box plots, if you knew median meant the middle number, if you said there's only 5 dots here, the middle number is the one in the middle, right? 1, 2, 3, 2 to the left, 2 to the right. This is the middle. And our median here is 11. Let's fill in the numbers. That's 11 and 10. So the median for Mr. Bonham's is less. So is 11 less than 10? No, it's not. And then interquartile range, this one you probably wouldn't have known without knowing box plots. Interquartile range is from one side of the box to the other. So it's basically saying the smaller the box, the smaller the interquartile range. So in this case, Mr. Bonham's is a little bit wider, so his interquartile range would be greater, which is not what this answer says. So our answer had to be A. Okay, we're going to come back to this. This last chapter, we're almost there. Number 12, Music Club has 15 members. Each member pays monthly dues of $14.60 on the first day. 8 paid their dues. The remaining members paid on the second day. How much money is collected in dues on the second day of the month? Okay. So 2 steps here. They have 15 members. 8 paid the first day. Everyone else paid the second. So how many people is that? So 15 total minus 8 on the first day is 7 on the second. So 7 people paid on the second day, and each of them paid $14.60. $14.60 times 7. These answers are kind of close, so let's not get fancy. Let's just multiply this out. 7 times 0 is 0. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 4 is 28. Plus 4 more is 32. 7 times 1 is 7. Plus 3 is 10. 2 decimal places gives us $102.20. That's answer G. Nice and straightforward. Okay. Alright, 13. Walter and Brian each have a CD collection. Number of CDs in Walter's collection will be represented by X. Number of CDs in Brian's collection is 3 times as much as the next guy. Total for both is 144. Okay. So there's 2 answers here that I could see people picking for this one, and I'm going to try to explain why it's one and not the other. So if the other guy has 3 times as many as Walter, and if Walter is X, then 3 times as much as X would be 3X. Okay, so a lot of people got that. So then what they did, the mistake they made is they said, what's 144 divided by 3? Okay, but that only tells us if we only looked at Brian, but we want both of them. So we want to combine Walter and Brian. So what that means is Walter is represented by X plus his buddy at 3X. And then we said if this is just an X, I can put a 1 in front of it. So what's 1x plus 3x? That is total 4x, which is a total of 144 in our collection. So instead of dividing by 3, we have to divide this by 4 to get it by itself. So our answer is going to be whatever 144 divided by 4. So 4 goes into 1 0 times, goes into 14 3 times. This is 12. Bring 2 down. 4 into 24 is 6. So x equals 36, and 36 also x happens to be how much is in Walter's collection, which is the question. How much is in Walter's collection? Should be 36. To check this, so if we say Walter has 36, and then his buddy has 3 times as much as that. So what is 36 times 3? It's 18. That's 108. So that's Brian. And then if we add those together, does that give us 144? We'd say this is 14, carry the 1. Sure enough, there it is. If you had picked 48, right? If we had mistakenly said Walter had 48, don't write this part down, then 48 times 3 is, this is 144. So that would mean Brian had 144 all by himself. So together could they have? No, that's too much now. Okay, so don't pick this one. It seems good, but when you check it, you realize that doesn't make any sense. Okay? Okay, last one for this part. And then we're going to try to get Ms. Price to do the next part. Store manager receives a delivery of 2 boxes of light bulbs. Each box has 25. Tests all of them, finds 2 of them are defective. Based on the results, how many can you predict about the next delivery? So the 25 part doesn't really matter. What we can focus on is he had 2 boxes, and 2 of them are defective, or broken. That's what defective means. Tried them out, didn't work. So if 2 boxes have 2 defective, how many would you expect to be in each box? So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we would expect 1 defective per box. And that's the number we're going to go with. So if he gets 3 boxes, that means 3 should be broken. And then 2 boxes should have 2 broken. So how many more is 3 than 2? Well, 3 minus 2 is 1, but it says it should be 3, which does not seem very good. Okay, G, 4 boxes should have 4 broken. Should be more than if we had 2 boxes, which should have 2 broken. So does 4 minus 2 equals 2, which is, it looks like the number we want, right? Let's check the other one just to be sure. So next one, 5 boxes, so 5 broken, and compared to 2. So we'd expect 3 more, but this one says 10, like they just multiplied, so I'm subtracting, so that's no good. And our last one, 6 boxes, will have 3 more than 2 boxes. So 6 minus 2 equals 4, which is not 3. So really this one was checking to see if you could read and then keep reading and do the same math each time to get a correct answer. So again, if you can read, you can do math. Okay, that was a good start. Took a while though. That's okay. It's worth it. Okay, good night.